You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.
Hey Josh,
Hey, what's up, Keith? How you doing, man?
doing good. How are you, man?
I'm doing okay, doing all right.
This whole time change thing, I thought I was, because it happened yesterday. So like my whole day yesterday got messed up because I forgot, and I thought it was gonna ruin my whole Monday and Tuesday. You know what I mean?
hmm
So
Yes.
it's
How's
like,
it going?
oh, good, good. I was here on time. So that's what I'm saying.
I'm really proud of you, man.
Yeah.
I totally understand as well.
Yeah, it's
Yes.
like this whole
Yeah.
daylight savings thing. It's like a bad relationship. It only lasts us 6 months, you know? And
I just feel like daylight is overrated.
yeah,
Like we're over it as a society. I feel like we should just let daylight do its thing at this point.
you know what's weird is when the pandemic started, I thought for sure that would be one of the first things to go since everything was done. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I was like, why can't we be
Why
more
are we
like
hanging on to
personal?
it?
I know, right?
I don't get it. What's the advantage? It's interesting.
Yeah, and then like they try to brag where like they say, I guess this time it's like this has nothing to do about you or me, by the way. We're just talking, I guess. But
I appreciate that.
but
This isn't the coverage.
yeah, this is for the folks at home. Stay tuned.
That's right. We're just gonna finish this. We'll be right with you guys in a second.
Yeah. We gotta get because this is it's my Asperger's. I'm focusing on daylight now.
Yes. We gotta
But
rip.
they try to brag it where like it says, "Oh, you're gonna gain an hour of sleep. Congratulations." You're like, "Oh, this is awesome, right? You gain an hour."
Yeah.
But this time it's like you're gonna lose an hour of sleep. You're like, "What the fuck?"
Who's taking it? Where does it go? Stop.
Yeah.
I
It's
don't
kind of
get
like
enough
that
as it
movie
is.
Time, where they have the time on their shoulder and it's like,
Yes.
yeah, it's like, did
I
you
never saw that.
Oh, it was fantastic. One of the best. It's one of the you ever watch a bad movie, but it's actually good? You know what I mean?
Yes. Yes. It's one of my
It's
favorite things.
it's one of those. It's like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
you're watching and you're like, this movie's actually really, really bad. But as you're watching it, you're like, it's actually really good.
That's amazing.
It's like
That
Zoom.
wait, that's kind of different.
Yeah.
Yes, you're like, it's is it aware though? Zoolander's aware of its badness, I feel like,
But
you
then
know.
then you watch it again, you're like, this is the best movie in the world.
It really is amazing. I love Zoolander. It's so stupid, but I love it.
Yeah.
Love
So
it. I was like, I don't know if you can make movies like that anymore,
yeah, I know. Like,
you
are you
know?
talking about like just the culture change or the Me Too stuff and all that?
I think it's just hard to get really broad comedies made, like for
Yeah.
people to sign off. I think everyone is so scared of comedy and what it does, and like you're saying, a lot of the cultural Me Too stuff that people they like don't want to land a punch. It's like all the
Yeah.
comedy's like really toothless. It's like everybody's happy, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
until we can make fun of it, I think we're stuck in that for a little while.
Well, see, I do stand up, and the thing about stand up is there's stuff that, like my stand up's never been very edgy or whatever, but like,
Mhm.
I can notice that there's certain jokes that like I say that like some audience don't think is funny anymore. So I'm like, oh, by the way, this joke was funny 10 years ago.
You should preface it in your set. Like I wrote
Yeah,
these jokes back in the 90s or the
yeah,
early 2000s and they were hilarious then,
that's what
and
I
I
say.
can't imagine anything's changed. So
Yeah, I say these jokes were based on the something about Marys in the world.
you could do one where like I wrote these back in the 30s. And I'm sure these will still land.
Yeah,
So, about that cotton gin, Trotsky.
it's kind of like I took Bill Cosby's act.
Just trying to make it my own, man. Oh my God, that'd be hilarious. I mean, I would laugh, but then,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you'd get emails and phone calls after, for sure.
So Josh Banday, I'm excited to talk to you. When I found out I got you, I Googled you, and you're going to find this is hilarious. But on the
What?
Google, it says you're on upload, right?
Yes.
I misread that, and I thought it said Utopia, and I thought, oh my God, Utopia is one of my favorite shows because I'm the biggest John Cusack fan, and
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this gives me a reason to watch Utopia again and relive the pandemic. So I watched the entire show again and I was like, I don't see Josh.
Oh
So I
no.
watched these 10 episodes and I'm like, maybe he's in episode 9. And
My
then
scenes got cut.
yeah, yeah. And then I re-Googled it. I was going to like tell Google they have false information, but it said upload.
Oh
So
no.
I
Well,
wanted to watch Upload to like, but I misread it, so I apologize.
I highly recommend Upload, but I can't fault you. I did the same, close to the same thing. I was on a show called Pam and Tommy
Yeah,
recently, and I knew I was on it. And you're basically checking to see if you made the cut at the end of the day. And my agents were like, "Yeah, yeah, you're in it." Like, okay. So I watched the show, and like, I'm pretty sure I'm in this episode. And I was watching it with my wife, and we're like, you know what? Let's just fast forward through. We'll see if you're in it, and then we'll watch the whole thing, of course.
right.
And I'm like, maybe I missed it. So we went back, we watched the full episode, and I'm like, maybe I'm in the one before this. Watch the full. So we ended up watching Pam and Tommy backwards,
Right.
just looking for me. And then eventually we found me. I'm in like 2 seconds. But then I'm like, oh, there I am. I might as well finish it. And so we watched the entirety of Pam and Tommy, but like it was the same process of just scrubbing through an entire series, going like, I'm pretty sure he's in this.
Yeah.
Uh, I think that's part of my marketing. Josh Banday,
Uh,
I'm pretty sure he's in this.
well, I do apologize because I wanted to like ask you some great upload questions, but I watched Utopia, so I have all these. First
Can
question:
you
What's it
ask the
like?
same questions?
Yeah, yeah. What's it
Yes.
like working with John Cusack in Upload?
John Cusack is a dream,
Yeah, but no,
I imagine.
but here's what I found something interesting about you is you started
Hmm,
doing Shakespeare.
I did.
So
I
like
did.
because like that's a very because you strike me as someone who does you have comedy chops and acting. A lot of like hardcore actors go into Shakespeare, but they don't realize Shakespeare is actually funny too.
Yeah, Shakespeare's hilarious.
Yeah. So
Yeah, he's like the first troll
yeah,
of recorded history is Shakespeare, one of them at least. Yeah, it's weird because there's more similarities between the two than you might think. I mean, you're a stand-up, you can tell the same joke, uh, and if you just word something a little bit differently or you time something a little bit differently,
it makes
it's
it
gonna
less funny.
land.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah, or it doesn't. And it's the same, it's on like, we've all been there. Uh it's the same thing with Shakespeare, oddly enough. Like the timing and the music of it absolutely changes how it's received. So like I probably watched Hamlet more times than I've watched anything else.
Yeah.
And the best I've ever seen the monologues done was Ian McKellen did. He wasn't even playing Hamlet. He was just doing one of the monologues as an example. And the way he timed everything made you lean in and listen to what he was saying. And even though this archaic language is coming out, you're just drawn into the words of it. And I was like, I want to know how to do that.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I got to start Shakespeare. Yeah.
The interesting thing about Shakespeare that like, I'm not really an actor or whatever, but I know common sense is a
Mhm.
lot of movies kind of steal from him, like The Lion King. That's basically Hamlet,
Yes, that's exactly right.
you know?
Yeah, I'm a lot of the structures that we take are from Shakespeare's plays. It's kind of funny because uh he's really or she is really specific with um a lot of like, you do that, you study it in school, and it's like, oh, it's written a certain way so that you say it a certain way. Oh, there's like iambic pentameter and scansion and all that. And
Yeah.
it's apparently because they had zero time to rehearse and they had no directors.
No, for
And so
sure.
he, right? So it's like you had to write it a certain way. So when you're that specific with every single word that you put on the page, uh, the writing is either going to be really good or awesomely bad.
Yeah, and I think awesomely bad sometimes, like we were talking about before, can be really good. And
Oh, it's a
and it's
fiasco.
so weird how that's like have you ever read a script where you thought like regardless if you got the project or not, but you're reading the script and you're like, this is like actually horseshit, but I kind of want to do it. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
like,
Yeah. You're like, I kind of want in on this one.
yeah,
It's so bizarre.
yeah.
Yeah, I haven't.
You're like, I have no idea why, but I want this.
I'm interested for some reason. Yeah, there's been a couple that there's only been like two or three to memory, where it's like, this is wild. Like, I don't know. There was one, it was mostly auditioning early on. I got one for a really bad, oh my God, man, sometimes the things I've done. It was a shark script,
Oh,
and
oh my God.
it was one of the
Tell us
shark, it was
more.
one of the shark ones, and it was all I remember is like they were trapped in some kind of vessel. I don't know if it was a ship. It may have been something like a bus. Like we were trapped in something. We didn't know what it was. And during the audition, you're by yourself. Like you're just reading with somebody, but you're the only one on camera. I had to save someone from being eaten, physically fight a shark, and then get eaten and die myself. Just
Oh, that's
all
cool.
in somebody's right. And like,
Yeah.
it was just like, oh my God, like, how are you going to do this?
Yeah.
And it's like the best compliment I received, but they're like, yeah, we saw it. Like we felt like you were being eaten by a shark here in our office.
Yeah.
Um, but man, that script, whoo, that one was a real pile, but I wanted in.
Yeah. It's kind of like one of my favorite movie series is the Saw films, and they're actually quite
Yes.
like the first one's actually a genius movie, but then the rest are like the stories are good, but the acting is just terrible. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And
Yes. Oh, I love it.
but it's like I want to do a Saw movie just so I could go to Comic Con.
That's all any of us want. It's just free tickets, free panels,
Yeah.
right? I'm like, Nathan Fillion's living the dream. The guy did a series 20 years ago. He gets in anywhere he wants.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
You probably went to Comic Con with Utopia though, right?
I did. Yeah, me and Zootopia as well. Uh, which like that's the when you first mentioned it, I was like, he thinks I'm in a Pixar movie. And I'm like, no, he means the giant. Neither of us is very good at name recognition in terms of
Yeah,
movies,
yeah.
what
This is why I'm
I'm
one of the
reading.
worst interviewers, but one of the best interviewers.
I believe it.
Like I've interviewed like over 200 people, and to my knowledge, only two people didn't get me. And I was like,
They're like, what's the draw? I
yeah,
don't.
they're like, people actually listen to this. I'm like, well, you can't take your
Oh,
own career so serious.
I really want to believe it's like someone huge. Like you managed to get like Al Pacino. And he's just
No,
like, I don't
no,
get it.
no,
I don't understand.
no. The biggest name I've ever got was Rich Little, and he's like a
Who is
com.
that?
He's like a huge comedy legend. He did Carson more times than anybody. and he's basically like the white Bill Cosby. You know what I mean? And
That's a weird claim to fame, but okay.
yeah, yeah. But like so like I say most famous because like my grandfather, my parents, like they all know him. I didn't really know
Oh,
him, but like he was,
mhm.
and I gotta tell you, he was tough.
Was he really?
Yeah, he was a tough
Despite
for an
being a
old.
stand-up.
Well, he's a guy who does impressions. You know what I mean? So like,
No, I totally get it now.
yeah, so he's doing all these impressions of like Richard Nixon and
Yes.
all these people who are dead. I was like, I don't think any of my listeners know who these guys are.
That's the hardest thing about being an impressionist. It's kind of like I used to do them, right? And like I got to the point where they actually have conventions for impressionists.
Oh, do they?
Yes. And like all of the greats go and a couple of the SNL cast goes sometimes. And they all meet up and they kind of, do impressions for each other. And I remember sitting there going just like, one, the best guy there, half of his act are people that are dead.
Right.
And he's one of the legends. And then the other part of me was just like, it's all of us in a room just being other people that are alive,
Yeah.
that are better at being themselves. And I'm like, it's kind of fun, but I don't think I want this life. Like,
See, that proves my point. You know who Rich Little was because he was the guy doing those impressions.
exactly right. That's exactly right.
Which were your two impressions that you did a lot, like that you're really really good at, or just one?
I I never got I'm not good at any impressions at all. I did I do on my Instagram I have how to do an impression of both of the guys who play Dumbledore.
Oh,
Yes, I would check that out. I haven't done it in
right.
a long time. And I also have a very bad Morgan Freeman
Oh, I love
impression.
very bad Morgan Freeman's.
Yeah, it's terrible. And I don't know. It was Morgan Freeman going to McDonald's and just
Hmm.
getting really excited about the menu. And he's just like, the
I'll have a
selections are
Big Mac.
fantastic. I'll have a Big Mac. Ooh, extra large fries. I don't know. There's
Oh,
something
that's pretty good.
I love it. It's one of my favorite things. And also the internet is just like, what?
Yeah.
And I also love that. So,
You know what's weird about Morgan Freeman is like I'm not kidding you.
mm,
My grandfather, before he passed, he reminded me so much of Morgan Freeman, or maybe Morgan Freeman reminds me of my grandfather because they don't look alike, but they have the same presence. You know what I mean? Like the same energy.
yes.
Like
Yeah. Is
like
he like from Savannah or something? Or
no,
where's your grandfather
just
from?
just just more, always trying to do what's right type of thing. You know what I mean?
Mm,
And it was like it's really hard for me to watch Morgan Freeman movies because of
yeah,
that.
because you're like, oh, it's like my grandpa running
Yeah.
around being a spy.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
interesting.
I watch it. I'm kind of thinking this fucker took my grandfather's job.
What a
But
dick.
yeah, but no. And then you went to the Groundlings, which is interesting because I also went to the Groundlings, and
No way.
yeah, I have a different view of it, as I'm sure you're gonna say. But how was it for you?
It was a nightmare.
Oh, okay.
Is that closer to no, it was
Yeah, I agree.
yeah, it's a good program for a very specific kind of actor comedian. I'll
Yeah,
say that, right? So like a certain kind of person can really thrive there. And the program is built on teaching character uh and kind of and exclusion, honestly. And like whittling down I would love to say they whittle down to the best, but a lot of times I would watch people get cut from my classes who I'm like, this was the best person in here. This is the most talented comedian. This is the best writer. And you cut the best writer, and this is the best impressionist,
so
has
that's
the
how we
most
know each
potential.
other. I got cut, and you still
Is
cut me.
I was like, this guy clearly uh, is the grandson of the white Morgan Freeman, and you cut him. How dare you? How dare you, sir? His grandpa could be working today.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, it. It's a very exclusive program, but it's really good for helping you find your comedy. And since I didn't do stand up, this was the way I had to do it.
Yeah.
Right, is through character, and so yeah, it made me a very efficient writer, um, and taught me a lot about like what are the things that I want to make fun of, and how do I find my comedy and stuff. That's what it was really good for. But it is not for everybody. It's a very difficult program.
No,
Yeah.
it really is. And like, that's important that you say that because I am a stand-up. I'm not an improv guy. So like
Mm-hmm.
when I did the groundlings, I think I was doing it just to improve my stand-up. And
Mm-hmm.
I only lasted 5 or 6 weeks before they cut me. And
Oh yeah, 100%.
like I think the first 2 weeks they're kind of nice to you, like, oh, keep coming back. And then they started saying, yeah, all right, you're actually not really that good. I'm like, well, give me one
Give me
more
some
week,
time.
fella. Yeah,
Yeah. Hey, buddy, maybe
I'm a
just
rookie.
yeah, I am paying you to do this. Like you realize this isn't a job for
Yeah.
me.
And the
I'm
worst
giving you
part is
money.
they cut you and they're like, well, thanks for your money. I'm like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, there's no coming back. There's no second chance. Like once you're cut, you're cut.
Yeah, that's the thing that
That
does suck because if you're cut and you're not good, and then like you get better and you want to try it again, they won't take you
mm,
back.
no,
And I
no,
think that
you're
that's
done.
not fair, you know?
It's yeah, it's really hard. I was actually told like by one of the teachers to take a year off
Yeah.
before I did another round of classes because she's like, you're too young right now. Um, and to be totally honest, like I had to repeat a class, and I I'm not I don't overconflate myself. I was one of the best in my class, and I failed it.
Right.
Literally because they switched teachers in the last 2 weeks, and the new teacher didn't know me, and so they were like, I don't know this guy. I don't think so. And all of a sudden I'm failing while I watch the rest of my class move on. It can be a really difficult program to get through.
Or if you think of it from this point of view, you're succeeding while you're watching the rest of your classmates failing.
You know what? That's exactly what it was.
Yeah.
Actually, I did get a really good teacher for that class too after that. It was really I got Navarres, and he was like one of the best character teachers I had. He was amazing.
Uh,
So yeah, success and failure.
so then when did you get what was your first like acting show where you're like, okay, I'm in.
This is the thing.
Yeah.
um well, I I started auditioning shortly after that.
Yeah.
I made all the mistakes an actor can make. I paid for an agent.
Oh, you
I
paid for an agent. Me too.
I
Yeah.
paid for it's so bad, man.
Yeah. You don't learn
It's
that
never
until
ever.
after you realize, like you and I are different. Like, see, I didn't learn that you
Mhm.
shouldn't pay for an agent because I learned I'm not talented.
I think we're alike in more ways than you think.
So I was
I,
like, why am I paying you just to tell me I'm so great when I'm not nailing any of these?
no one is calling me back.
Yeah,
Are
I'm
you doing your
failing
job?
Shakespeare for God's sakes.
I know, right? Isn't that like the first acting you're supposed to do?
Yeah.
Um,
John
yeah,
Cusack has a restraining order on me. Come on, guys.
come on. We were in Utopia together. He doesn't remember. That's okay. He's very busy. He's a busy man. Um, I I so I did that. My first gig was a indie film.
Oh,
Um, yeah, where I was playing like a nerd hacker who saves the world from this virus that took hold of nanoparticles and was like suffocating and killing people. It's like a thriller.
oh.
Um,
So
yeah, and I
weird
was
because
working.
that explains COVID.
Doesn't it? It's the whole thing right
Was
there.
that the film? The Let's
That's
Eat Bats?
that's you know exactly the one. It later
I saw
changed
that
its name
indie
to
film. That's
I
where I
feel
know
like
you
we're
from.
living it. You know, art imitates life. Now you know.
Yeah.
It's Zootopia and this particular indie film. No, it was good. And I got fired from my job because I took that. I was a full-time graphic designer.
Oh my God.
Um, yeah. And my boss was like, cool, take the job. Don't worry about coming to work on Monday. And I was like, oh. Uh, and so I was like, okay, I'm going to try acting for 5 years. And if it doesn't work out, then I got to go back to work.
Right.
Um, and I started booking commercials after that. And that paid the bills until, more and more gigs came in. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the first one was the small indie film Zootopia Utopia with John Cusack as a rabbit. That was the first.
I knew he
So
was Mr. Rabbit the whole time. Like that, like we have I was so bummed they didn't do a second season because it's like I think it would be interesting to show him being, you know what I mean?
yeah, that's true.
But like they never clarify. That's not the point. The point is this. So I
I
think
love
that
talking
that
Utopia with you.
yeah, yeah. But I think that that's actually pretty daring because like, you gave yourself a timeline. Say, okay, I'm going to do this for 5 years. And you didn't put a timeline on what success is in 5 years. You just said to constantly work, right?
Yes. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think that that's actually very awesome because, like, that's something, that I do. I mean, I do have a day job, but I cancel the day job whenever I get stand up gigs. Like, whenever,
Really.
and my day job, I've been doing it for 17 years, and at first they weren't happy about it, but now they're like, okay, this guy cares more about stand up than work. So I think they
Hmm.
just keep me on it because in a way they kind of like that. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Yeah, I
there's
get that.
something there's something weird about it where you work good when you're here, but when you're doing what you love, we're even happier for you.
Yeah, well, and also like, first of all, that's a sign of a good job, right? And
Uh,
like good
I think
management.
it's more of a sign of we can't fire this guy because he's in the union.
Oh, so they're desperate. Okay, great, great,
Right.
great, great, great.
But I was trying to make them sound good on the podcast.
Okay. That was, I mean, you're still there. So yes, this
Yeah,
is
yeah.
this is a
You were
positive.
trying to make them sound bad, and I was like,
I would
I
never.
don't. Yeah,
Oh, I don't work there. I don't give a shit about these
yeah.
people.
I was like, Josh, what are you talking about?
Just don't do that. Sorry,
Yeah,
Mr. Browns. Yeah, I remember when I worked my corporate job, like I would always keep a little window open in the corner of my computer where I was writing scripts. And
yeah,
so in a way I was like, I can't not do this thing. But it was also like like I had to let the dream of being an actor be generous, right? Because so much of the job is not up to me.
yeah.
Like originally I was like, I want to be on SNL, I want to be on SNL, I want to, blah blah blah, I want to be a cast member. But then I was just like, I just want to work. I love acting, I love comedy, I love drama. That's what I want to do. As long as I'm working and I can take care of myself, take care of my family, I'm happy.
Yeah.
Let the dream be generous. That's like biggest advice I can give to new actors, especially.
I always wanted to be on SNL too, but I have a lot of friends who were on SNL, and none of them have said, and these guys have been on it for a long time. None of them have said that it was great. They said that the only good thing is they're famous, and that's it.
They're like,
So
got
that
Soup's famous.
no, but like so that makes you think like, and also I know in the past 10 years, SNL, if you're on it for one season, there's a great chance you're not going to be on it next season.
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
So
there's like three different like casts now,
yeah,
where it's like you got legends, you got kind of like your regular-ish, and you got your new kids,
yeah.
and they cycle through those new ones, man.
And
I don't
like
know.
that to
Yeah.
me just seems very, very heartbreaking because it's like you could get fired for not being funny, but like we were talking about before, the young SNL is a totally different level. It's a totally different mountain than the Groundlings or Second City or whatever. It's probably
Hmm.
40 times harder. You know what I mean?
It
So
is. Yeah.
so you gotta think like if you're walking on eggshells at the Groundlings,
Hmm.
how tough is it at SNL? So like that to me is very sad and very scary, you know?
It is. Yeah, it is. And I've also heard the same things
Yeah.
about being a part of the cast and being one of the writers. And the other thing too is like it even goes far and away from being funny. Like you could be the funniest person there, but if you can't speak up for yourself in a room full of writers, you're never going to get heard. So you got to
Yeah.
have people skills. You got to have brass balls. You got to have all this stuff
Yeah.
in order to survive.
I I I I used to tour with Norm Macdonald. He was one of my best friends. And
Oh, I love that guy.
yeah, and he used to tell me when he got fired, he's like, I didn't get it, man, because for 1 year I was the funniest guy on the show. Then I got fired, and I'm like, you guys are sticking with Chris Kattan? What's going on here? That's my
Oh my,
impression.
you just
But
made me miss Norm Macdonald so much.
oh man,
Oh my God. That
he
was
was.
pretty good.
Oh, well, thank you.
It's no shitty Morgan Freeman, but it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's a shitty Norm Macdonald though. I love honoring my friend like that, but
Yeah, that's great, man.
but no, you're the show that you're on right now, Not Dead Yet, which
Yes.
just came out a couple months ago.
Hmm.
And I'm gonna be honest, I
Hmm.
was too busy watching Utopia. But I did a little research on Not Dead Yet,
Okay, that's good.
and the great Martin Mull is in it.
Oh, yes.
So I wanted to ask, do you have any scenes or screen time, or do you work with him, or like because
Uh,
I think he's great.
he was incredible.
Oh,
He was
okay.
incredible. He lived up to everything you want Martin Mull to be. Um, I had one or two scenes with him, and we shot our pilot and took it to network, and the network was like, "This is great. Reshoot the pilot with all this different stuff."
Yeah.
And so I got to be with him twice.
Oh,
And first of all, just super kind of friendly guy, very to himself. Um, we were all during the pilot, we were all like COVID, protocol. Everybody had their mask on. Martin Mull was like, "No, I'm not fucking doing that." It's
right.
just like
Well,
you
he
can't tell me
survived
that.
Clue. He could survive COVID.
That's right. He did
Huh.
not get murdered. He's so hilarious. And then you find out he's a painter
Yeah.
and a jazz musician, and you're like, dude, like, it's just wonderful being around him. And
He
my
also,
daughter,
he also in a way gave Steve Martin his start because he used to do stand up, and Steve Martin, his first year in stand up, he was the opening act for Martin Mull.
no way.
Yeah.
I
So
didn't know he did stand up. I have to watch his stuff.
it's not that good, but
Yeah, I imagine. He's more of an actor. I don't know if
yeah.
actors can
If
do stand
Martin
up.
Mull is watching this, I think you were great.
You were amazing, Martin.
Yeah, because
You did
I'm trying to
it.
get him on the show. So me saying
Oh,
that
good
kind of
luck.
burned.
He hates Zoom. He hates it.
Really? Oh,
Yeah, every time we do like a reading or something, he'd be like, "Ah, I don't wanna. All right, okay, here we go." And you're like, "Sorry, Martin. Like,
yeah.
you shouldn't have to do this."
Well, I heard in an interview once that he said that my biggest fear is going blind. And if I go
Mm,
blind, I'm going to eat a bullet. Like he said that.
wow,
So one of
I
my
believe it.
questions that I have for Martin Bull when I interview him, be like,
Yeah,
how do bullets taste?
I'm. You know what? If we do a season two, I will video myself asking Martin Mull, "Tell us your favorite
Yeah.
brand. Is there like a heady flavor? Or there
Yeah.
tannins from bullet to
Because
bullets?"
he didn't say he was going to shoot himself. He said he would
No,
eat a bullet.
Maybe we're just
I
reading
just
it
thought
all
that that
wrong.
was the funniest thing because I got what he was trying to say, but the fact that he said it
Yes.
like that, I was just like,
You know what? He should put that in the stand up.
yeah, definitely.
He should put
When
it.
he makes
It
a
would
big
improve the act.
comeback, yeah.
Yes, he's gearing up, man. I
He's
feel
getting
it.
the great who I actually am, I consider a friend, Julia Sweeney's on it too.
Oh, Julia Sweeney.
Yeah,
I tried so hard to be friends with her.
yeah.
And I think she was just
She's
like this idiot. Like
really
it
she
wasn't
treat
until I think she was cordial,
right.
but it's one of those things when you're a guest on a show, a sitcom like that, you kind of make the choice. Are you going to go in and like try to fold into the culture of everything, or are you just going to come in, you do your job, you get out, which is totally fine.
Yeah,
And I think she went in, she's around all these 30, 20 somethings, and she's like, I'm too cool for this.
right.
uh but
She
then the
does. She
last
does
day.
give that impression because when I interviewed her, and like I said, I consider her a good friend now. Not a good friend,
Mhm.
but like we follow each other on Twitter. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. Because she's
Yeah.
verified, and I don't have $8. But she was very, very sweet. But she was also
Yes.
very. She was very like, why do you want to talk to me? You
Yes.
know, because she's just now getting back into Hollywood. Like that's the
Yes.
that's the thing is because she did Hollywood in the 90s and then she disappeared and she's just now coming back within the last 3 or 4 years. So she's kind of
Right.
very she doesn't understand. Like she doesn't understand how podcasts is where in the short run, this probably won't get you a lot of followers, but in the long run, after you're dead, people are going to listen.
Yeah.
You
Or,
know what I mean?
yeah. Yeah. Or, after we eat bullets,
Yeah, yeah. Like Martin Mull, yeah.
like Martin Mull. Yeah, I think she is kind of guarded, but like the last day we shot, we totally, kind of were like, oh, now we're talking. Once we started talking about writing and, a lot
Yeah.
of other stuff, it was a very different person. And she also did an amazing job um on our show. She was the voice of a puppet, like a
Wow.
like lamb chop.
Yeah.
And so she's just like carrying around this little pig the entire time.
That's
Um,
a funny name for a puppet, lamb chop.
that it was also a lamb as well.
Oh, really? Wow.
It was, yeah. It's kind of morbid actually, now that I think about it.
You know what it reminds me of is did you ever see Pinocchio, which is also a movie that was ripped off from Shakespeare. But
Yes.
Pinocchio's best friend's name when they're drinking beer and starting to turn into donkeys, his name's Lamb Chop.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I always thought that
That's
was
messed
funny.
up.
Yeah.
Disney, what are you doing?
And then he turned into a lamb.
It's like his parents knew ahead of time.
Yeah.
They're like, this will be funny in 10 plus years.
But speaking of funny names, you also voice a very funny name. You voice Bigfoot's dad.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
because that is something I'll be honest, I saw on your Google and I
Yeah.
Googled it. I was like, I'm not gonna fucking watch this. But I made this out of love because I want to
Yes,
support
absolutely.
you, but
I
I
appreciate
don't
it.
have a 2-year-old around to
You're not
so
going to watch a children's TV show for my amazing performance.
no,
How dare you, sir?
I mean,
How dare you, sir?
yeah. Give me
I
the
thought I thought we were
highlights.
friends.
We
I'll
are
give you
friends.
I'll give you the highlights. The best parts about this series is like, okay, so like kids shows, they're mostly just like annoying, and you're
Right.
like, I have kids, and I'm just most of the time you're slogging through these things. You just put something on while you're eating cereal, right? And there's been a couple of kid shows that come out that you're like, okay, here you go. Here's your toast, and you're doing your thing, and then you're like, I'm kind of watching this, and then you're like, oh, that's wow, that's actually a pretty good point. And then you're like, oh no, why am I crying in my kitchen? Like I was supposed to be doing dishes. Like, what is this?
Right.
Right? Like, and this was one of those shows
Oh, okay.
where, yeah, like I wouldn't recommend as an adult that you watch it, but it was one of those things that surprised me. And when I got the scripts for it, I was like, this is really well written for children's television.
Yeah.
Like, it's not just like, oh, Binky Boo got stuck in the Rainbow Palace. It's like this really, each episode is like a little emotional journey for kids, and teaching them about how to express their emotions and even the really complicated stuff. Not just like, I'm sad, wah, but like, um, hey, I'm the strong kid in my friend group. Everyone
Yeah.
knows I'm the strongest, I'm the fastest, I'm the coolest, right? And then I win every game, I'm doing everything right, and went up to catch this ball and I fell and I scraped my knee. I don't want them to see me cry because then they're gonna think I'm not the strongest anymore. No, I'm cool. No, I'm cool. Don't worry about me. I'm fine. And the friends were like, you're not fine. It's okay. You can cry. Like everybody cries.
Right.
And then they had this emotional song about like how it's okay and we don't think about you any differently just because you messed up. And I'm like, dang, what is
Yeah.
this? Who are you? How do you know me? Like, and like there's different episodes. The best one has not been aired, and it
Oh, so we
tackles,
can't talk about it. Huh?
I can't tell you about it, but it's like
I
one
think
of
I
the
know.
best.
Yeah.
Do you know?
I think I do. I think this is the episode where you finally abandon Bigfoot,
That's exactly right. That's the one.
right?
And I leave him.
And then
uh
he becomes a big scary monster and he like chills out at camp sites and stuff.
and then he starts his own podcast.
And it's called
And
the
then
Big
and
the
then
Bigfoot Stories.
it's called Foot in My Mouth Stories by Bigfoot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Bigfoot in My Mouth. And that
And then
sounds
whenever
dirtier than I meant
Bigfoot
it.
gets asked questions about Bigfoot's dads, he's like, "Grr."
Ugh, don't talk about that. And then he disappears into the woods. It's not a great podcast. Each
But
episode's about 15 seconds long.
yeah, I know. But no, hey, I totally understand because it's like doing stand up in a haunted house where ghosts just boo you.
Tell me that's in the act. Tell me that's in your type five.
100.
Please. Yes,
100%.
thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Yeah. But I had a great idea for a children's show and I want to pitch it with
Mhm.
you. Like we could go in together.
I love this. I
Okay.
love this.
So
Let's
I'm
go.
going to pitch it to you. And if I
Okay.
say, you know what, I have Josh Banday on board, we're going to fucking do great things. We're going to be bigger
Hell
than
yeah.
Barney. You know what I mean?
That's right. Whoa.
Well, if
All
you do a
right.
child show, realistically, that's the goal. Be bigger than
That's the
Barney,
dream.
right?
Yeah, no one was bigger than Barney, you
Yeah.
know?
Like not
Yeah,
even
take down the
Sesame Street.
dinosaurs.
Yeah,
Bigger they are, harder they fall.
exactly.
All
So
right, what's
here's
this
the
idea?
pitch. Okay, a children's show, and this is just
Yes.
an episode, so you get the idea.
All right, I love
So,
it.
so an 8-year-old boy or girl, they go up to their father and they're like, "Daddy, what's taxes? I have to do
Mm,
my taxes." And the dad says, "Well, before you could do the taxes, you have to pay someone $300 and they'll help you do your taxes. So you got to start selling Girl Scout cookies and lemonade for $300." So these they start doing that. You know what I mean?
okay. Okay.
They're like, "All right, I came up with $300, right?" And they hand it to their dad. And then the dad says, "Yeah, you got to go back to school because this is just $30." So they're like, "Oh." So then they do it again, right?
Mm,
They give it to their dad over and over again, and the dad keeps saying $30, right? So
okay.
then when they finally get the 300, the dad says, "Ah, you're not old enough to work, so you don't need to do your taxes."
And then Bigfoot comes.
You know?
and he,
But see, that's a valuable lesson because children don't know what taxes are and they need to learn.
so we just want every episode is a parent being as cruel as possible
Yeah,
to their children. So the kids, yeah, I think this is
cruel
great.
in a
I
nice way, though.
In a kind, and then they sing about it,
Yeah,
hey idiot, you're too small to do taxes.
yeah.
Give me that money. I think that's great. I think I'm looking at HBO, possibly HBO animation.
I'm thinking more
Uh,
like Adult Swim. You get the children to
okay.
start watching Adult Swim.
I
You
mean,
gotta, you
yeah, I
gotta,
mean,
you
what kid
gotta
doesn't
lay
love
them
that?
off the leash somehow. You know what I mean?
Right. I think is really strong. Call my people about it. I'm sure there's someone
Oh
who
yeah.
can get us on board. Appreciate so much of these pitches. This is so what a strong uh, personality you have. And
Yeah. You know, but it's actually the smartest thing to throw a pitch to. Like, this is why you gotta get a podcast, Josh, because when you're
it's true.
interviewing people, you have their time for 45 minutes. They, you know, because if they sign off, it
Yes,
shows they're the biggest jerk in the world, right? So
that's true.
they have to stay on for 45 minutes at least, regardless if they like you or not. And you could just pitch all these ideas to them.
It's just all pitches.
You're like, maybe we could take this off the Zoom, Michael Bay.
Listen, Michael, I heard you're in Utopia.
Yeah.
Uh, so I'm gonna ask you some questions about that. And then I got 15 pitches for you to listen to.
Uh, all right, Josh. Well, I want to respect your time, so I have one more question for you.
Go for it.
Okay, so you are on Upload, which I did do a little research and said there's a possibility of a season 3,
Yes.
and you're also on Not Dead Yet.
Mhm.
So technically, you are on 2 shows at the same time right now. How does
Yep.
that feel? Because that never happens. Usually they say you do one show, when that gets canceled or whatever, you could do another show.
That's right. Yeah, they're real specific about that actually.
Yeah.
Did we kind of finagle it a little bit? Yes. I was on Upload first. It's kind of interesting because um different audiences know me from different things. And like it says a lot about the person who knows me from Upload and a lot about the person who knows me from Not Dead Yet and how
Right.
they react because they are very different characters.
Yeah.
Right. I feel like you would like the guy from Upload, to be totally honest.
No, no,
Like I
I'm actually dead serious. I'm gonna binge watch it. And that
yeah,
wasn't a joke. I thought it said Utopia, so I was doing my research. But
you're like after one more binge of Utopia, then I'm gonna watch Upload. I swear.
yeah.
I think you would dig it. And also, I'm not gonna give anything away. You should just watch it. Season 3 is coming out
Oh, cool.
this year. Yeah, and then I think we don't know about season 4 or 5 yet. But yeah, it's like, oh, okay. Like I just got an Upload fan, and she is one of the top streaming uh, like fighting gamers
Right.
in the world, like brawlers, like Street Fighter, Multiverses, all that
Chun
stuff.
Li, yeah. That was my
The
favorite Street
the
Fighter.
the actual Chun Li, it's actually her with the
Oh,
buns.
really? Nice.
Yeah, yeah, and the kick, if you can even call it that. What?
Yeah,
Why
we're like her leg. I mean, the folks can't see this. This is a joke for
they can't
Josh.
see
This is
this?
her leg.
Yes,
She's
thank
like,
you. That's that's exactly right. The one that got me was the completely inverted upside down spinning with your genitals in the air. I'm like, why would anyone go, this is
yeah.
something you need to master?
You ever play that game like when you were a kid and you're like, oh God, I can't wait to be in shape to do that. And then like you take a couple karate classes and you're like, when can I start flying kicking?
I was just lighting my hands on fire all the time, trying to
Yeah.
fire punch people. It never worked out, but I did get third degree burns.
This is what my dad told me to get that power. Because I asked him when I was 8. He's like, oh, you just
Yeah.
gotta keep punching a brick wall. So I was like doing that. I was doing that for 30 times. I was like, my hand's red. He's like, I don't see fire. Do it another 30 times.
Is this
So
another episode of your kids show that you're trying to
yeah,
pitch me? Yeah. This is episode 3. Okay.
how to be a street fighter.
Oh my
Uh,
God.
well, Josh, where can the folks at home follow and support you?
Uh, I don't know. I'm on TikTok. I'm ashamed of it. I'm at Josh Banday, and then I'm at Josh Banday on Instagram. Come and follow me. I'm not good at it. I post weird stuff and watch my agents squirm as they go like, no one's gonna get this. Um, yes, that's me.
Hmm. Well, Josh, I want you to know, like, I know this probably wasn't what you might have expected, but I had a great time talking with you. And I actually
Oh,
do feel that we're friends. Like I feel you and I click. So thank you so
I
much
think
for
we
riffing.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you, man. And please watch me on Utopia.
I will.
Saturdays at 8/7 Central with John Cusack.
You're a great guy,
Thanks, man.
Josh Banday. Have a great
Thanks.
day, pal, and we'll talk soon.
All right, take it easy, Keith.
Uh, all right, guys, that was the show. Subscribe, rate, review, tell a friend, and remember, always smile.
You're listening to Reza Riffs with Keith Reza and Alan Lee, right here on LA Talk Radio.